I think that there's no denying that Shadur Sanders has an it factor, right? I mean, there's no denying it. It is palpable. It was the highest rated NFL Network preseason game in over a decade to watch him play the Carolina Panthers. The get in price, the tickets they were charging to get in the lower bowl as it got closer to kickoff were 250, 300. I was told by some people that that's more than the get in price was for Carolina's regular season.
The NFL is built on hype, but every now and then, the hype feels different. Nathan Zegura, a man who knows the Cleveland Browns inside and out, did not just casually acknowledge Shadur Sanders. He went all in, praising him, even though Shedeur wasn't chosen to play. That tells you something deeper. This wasn't lip service. This was respect from someone who understands how rare it is for a young quarterback to command admiration without even stepping on the field.
If Stefanski stays in charge, it's going to be over his dead body that Shedeur is going to play a snap this year. As I've always said about Dylan Gabriel, I think he's a little better than Tua. Built stocky like Tua, nice arm, accurate, but he ain't Shedeur. Shedeur is very special to me. If Shedeur were starting right now for the Cleveland Browns, I think they'd be the talk of the league.
Zegura's praise landed like a wake-up call in a league where analysts often hold their cards close. Most insiders hedge, keep their enthusiasm hidden, and wait until results speak for themselves. But Nathan broke from that mold. He saw enough in Shedeur's preparation, his poise, his approach to the game, that he felt no need to wait. And the fact that Shedeur wasn't selected to play makes it all the more intriguing.
And obviously, I knew we were going to be talking about Shedeur when he asked me a couple days ago. We certainly did not think we were going to have this conversation because, like everybody else, I was at practice and we're watching the one-on-ones. And I was with my play-by-play partner, Andrew Siciliano, and I said, I don't think Shedeur's even getting any reps in the ones. What's going on? And
in professional sports, praise usually flows toward the obvious stars, the ones in the spotlight, making highlight reels or putting up gaudy numbers. Shedeur is in a different situation. He's fighting to prove himself, fighting to claim space in a roster that doesn't always give young quarterbacks the breathing room they deserve. That's why Nathan's words carried such weight. It's one thing to celebrate a player after he torches a defense. It's another to publicly lift him up before the opportunity even comes.
You are dealing with an individual that has the utmost respect for Lamar Jackson, has the utmost respect for Jalen Hurts. The thought is, if I go into Cleveland, I will have more of a chance to play and compete for a position rather than hoping that an individual gets hurt. You have to do what's best for you, even if nobody agrees with it. That's something.
The key detail here is Shedeur's mentality. Even when not chosen to play, he has refused to sulk, pout, or drown himself in frustration. He's been locked in on the bigger picture, the same way he was in college when critics tried to minimize his accomplishments. Shedeur doesn't beg for validation. He commands it by the way he carries himself, and that's what Zegura picked up on. It wasn't just about talent. It was about character.
Shedeur Judkins in that defense, I guarantee you he would be lighting it up because he was born and raised to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. It's in his genes, it's in his bloodline. The league wanted to teach him and his father a lesson. That's why he fell to the 5th round. Cleveland.
That's what sets this apart from ordinary commentary. Zegura knows the Cleveland landscape better than most. He's watched quarterbacks cycle through the organization like cars in a rental lot. He's seen players buckle under the pressure, melt under the scrutiny, and vanish before they ever got started. For him to stop and single out Shedeur at this moment reveals that he sees something Cleveland has been desperate for: stability.
I'll keep saying it. I believe Shadur Sanders should play more games than any other quarterback on this roster this year because he's the only guy that I look at and say they might have something here. Because I'm telling you right now, they left night 1 of the draft saying we are taking our quarterback next year. So it's on Shedeur or Dylan or Kenny, probably not Joe.
The irony is that Shedeur wasn't picked to play. That's the part that makes Nathan's praise so intriguing. Usually, a snub at this stage would silence conversation. But instead, it amplified it. By not being chosen, Shedeur's potential became the story, and Zegura made sure people noticed. He wasn't praising what Shedeur had already done under the stadium lights. He was praising the foundation that will eventually shine when the lights are on.
Now, we all know the situation that's going on in Cleveland. Everybody wants to see Shadur Sanders get his chance to get on the football field. And Kevin Stefanski is standing on his principles and his morals that he is not moving away from Joe Flacco. Even in the first 3 games, Joe Flacco hasn't done well.
And that's where the intrigue deepens. Too many analysts look at decisions like this and declare a player doomed. They treat being overlooked as the end of the road. Zegura flipped that narrative. He wasn't blinded by politics or favoritism. He focused on what he sees every day: Shedur's preparation, his leadership, his ability to command respect even without the starting role. That's why his praise didn't sound like empty optimism. It sounded like foresight.
Watching the head coach, I'm watching the organization. There's a reluctance to draft him. There's a reluctance to give him first-team reps during training camp. There's a reluctance to name him the number 2 quarterback. There's still another rookie quarterback ahead of him on the depth chart. So based off of those things that I'm observing, I think the kid is talented, but watching the organization, I would...
What makes this moment even more powerful is how it reflects the Sanders family DNA. Deion has always built his career on proving people wrong. Shadur is cut from that same cloth. When others look at a setback and see a ceiling, he looks at it and sees fuel. That's why Nathan's praise resonated. He recognized that Shadur doesn't need to be the guy right now. He just needs to keep being ready, because opportunity has a way of showing up when you least expect it.
Cleveland, what's the best piece of advice you've given him as a dad and as a coach?
Be patient and be ready. You got to be ready when it's time. But when it's time, you're going to know. And it's coming up.
There we go.
You know, I got a prediction. I ain't telling nobody. I got a feeling when it's going to go down. But it's going to go down this year.
It's going to happen. All right.
Yeah, you can get a shot.
And that's all you can ask for as a player. All you can ask for is the opportunity, right?
Tell me this, because this was all over the media.
Zegura's comments are also a reminder that the NFL is about more than what happens on Sundays. It's about who shows up Monday through Saturday, grinding in the background, refining details that the fans don't see. Shadur has been doing that consistently, and people inside the building know it. That's why Nathan didn't hold back. He sees the iceberg beneath the surface, not just the tip the world is waiting for. The situation in Cleveland complicates things further. It's not exactly the easiest environment for a young quarterback to thrive in. The franchise has been plagued with instability for years, and the critics are quick to assume anyone who enters that system is destined to fail. But Nathan's words cut through that narrative. By praising Shadur now, he's essentially saying, don't lump him in with the ghosts of Cleveland quarterbacks past. This is different.
I disagree. I think we're going to see him earlier than expected, because I think the offense is awful. And I think that when you have your defense that's out there playing the way that they've played in 2 of the 3 weeks that they've played, showing you how elite they can be, then you can't continue to go week to week being as anemic and impotent offensively as the Joe Flacco-led offenses.
And here's the kicker. Being praised while not playing can sometimes be more powerful than lighting up the scoreboard. Why? Because it shows that respect is earned without flash. Respect is earned through consistency, work ethic, and the kind of maturity that coaches dream about. Shadur doesn't need the ball in his hands right this second to make people believe in him. He's already doing it with his presence alone. Of course, critics will roll their eyes. They'll argue that praise doesn't win games, that hype means nothing until results back it up. But that's the beauty of this story. Zegura's respect wasn't built on empty hype. It was built on what he sees with his own eyes on a daily basis. And when someone that close to the situation breaks ranks from the usual cautious analyst chatter, people pay attention.
We get into the team, and the first time the ones were Joe Flacco, and then Gabriel, and then the threes, and it was Tyler Huntley. And I said, that seems odd. And so we kind of asked around, and eventually we found out he had injured his oblique in warmups and was out. And it's obviously very unfortunate, because he did have a very good performance in that opener and showed, the things that we talked about last time. I said, elite ball placement.
Shadur Sanders may not have been chosen to play, but he has already been chosen in another way. Chosen to be believed in. Chosen to be backed by someone who understands the game at a level deeper than surface stats. That belief matters. Sometimes it's the fuel that transforms overlooked prospects into stars, and that's why Nathan's words stuck. They weren't about a moment. They were about a trajectory. He wasn't saying Shadur is already great. He was saying Shadur is built for greatness. There's a difference, and it's that difference that makes this all so compelling.
Now, if that 2-minute drive, if he would have led that team down to, to a score, that would have wrote all the wrongs that he had in the previous possessions, because now you know in a 2-minute situation, Shadur Sanders can lead a franchise down the field and put points on.
The NFL is brutal, unforgiving, and often political. Players can get lost in the shuffle before they've even had a chance to prove themselves. But when insiders like Nathan Zegura plant their flag and say, "This guy is worth watching," it cuts through the noise. It gives fans a reason to look closer. It gives the player a reminder that their work isn't going unnoticed. And in Shedur's case, it reinforces what he already knows. His time is coming. Whether Cleveland realizes it now or later, the message is clear. You can keep Shadur off the field for now, but you can't keep his name out of people's mouths. Nathan Zegura made sure of that. And when the moment finally arrives, the praise he offered before the first snap will look less like hype and more like prophecy.